Good evening. The time is 6 p.m. We're going to rise and join for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The record showed the board is all in attendance. And communication from board or staff. I know, Darlene, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I do.
Speak in your microphone, let's go with your.
Okay. Okay, I feel the need, I'm just gonna read this because I'm not good at speeches, but I feel the need to say that I don't believe that this board was treating the residents of Harrison fair in response to the trees in the right of way. There was an ordinance passed that nobody was allowed to plant trees for various reasons. But someone planted trees in the right of way. It was brought to the board's attention in a meeting, and staff was instructed to send a letter that they have to be removed or they will be removed by the village. The trees were not removed. So it was brought back to the board and asked what we wanted to do. A trustee said there are trees in the right of way in other places of the village and that we should let the people keep the trees in the right of way. But from now on, nobody else can have any in the right of way. Number one, the board made a rule. Number two, the board instructed staff to send a letter. Number three, the board didn't back staff on the letter that the board said to send. Number four, majority of the board said they can keep the trees in the right of way, but nobody else can from then on. I have a problem with the unfairness of this ruling for the rest of the residents. Either everyone can plant them in the right of way or nobody can plant them in the right of way. If the majority of the board wants them in the right of way, then change the ordinance. Rules are rules and they should be the same for everyone. I'm aware there were trees in the right of way from 20, 30 years ago, but common sense is you wouldn't remove mature trees that were planted before the ordinance was ever made. I know people say that they like the trees. I do too, but I plant them in my yard. What's good for one is good for all, and it's fair for all. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Is there any other communication? I do have one thing I'd like to bring up to the board. We've been talking about wind towers for a long time, and I saw that this past week, President Trump had stopped funding for several wind projects. So I called our congressman, Tony Reed's office, and I talked to his aide, Joe, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, Bashard, and explained to him the issue with the wind towers coming down with the Inver Energies project. He's actually a Milwaukee resident, and he's got family in Techeetah, so he has seen the wind towers in Pipe, and he had no idea, no clue that they were going to come all the way our direction. So he is very willing to help us and facilitate this. Evidently, there was a bill that was going through Congress last year, and they're bringing it forward again. I asked him to keep us in the loop, and if possible, to add this project to their list of projects that they're thinking about removing the funding for. So it hopefully stop the project. So when I understand that this Mr. Bashar is the same individual that Chad has been working with on the zip code issue. So he seems to be very, very fond of Harrison. So he's spent some time up there. So we look forward to hearing from him again. Any other communications? Hearing of not. All right, we have the January 9th meeting. What is your pleasure? I'll move the vote. Someone has to make a motion. Someone has to make a motion. Okay, so
unlike before, you're not gonna be able to make the motions, you just have to say the motions out loud and then Vicky will put them into the system and then you'll vote.
okay, so it says voting is not open. We have to do the motions
Let's
first.
do the motion first, so somebody make a motion like you would.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Except take out interim village manager Russ Van Kumpel. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say be right. Yeah. So I wasn't saying nothing first, but that's what it is.
The January 9th meeting?
Yes, because he was not here for that meeting.
And I'll second. Any discussion? Okay, we're learning how to do the new voting system here, guys, so
Did you
little
roll?
patience with us here, so. Good voting is open, right?
Does it come,
Mine says voting is open.
Fresh,
You have to refresh.
hit refresh?
I hit refresh. Oh, okay, there we
Okay.
go. Okay, it took a while to come up, okay. So vote your ballot.
Then you gotta scroll down and hit the word submit my vote.
Oh, you know, it's tricky because.
So I need trustee Baldwin's yet
I did.
and Bartline are the two that I'm missing. And just Baldwin now.
So we have to hit refresh again.
You're in.
Vicky?
You're good.
We're good? Yay. Oh, great.
Well, these are gonna be long votes, aren't they?
We're gonna get good at it.
All right, so we need a motion and a second to approve the January 16th minutes.
I'll make a motion to pass the minutes of January 16. That's one to circle it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mike. Any corrections? All right. Whoops. Don't delete. Okay, so we have to refresh. Hang on. Says voting is not open, or did I not?
You have to refresh, I think.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Did my
Trustee Lancaster.
Okay.
And we're good.
Okay, I have a dumb question, but as we scroll down, if we accidentally hit the wrong vote, can we change it back and forth? Because I can see scrolling down, you're gonna hit the wrong.
Yeah, things get-
And I'll just do the rest of those.
Okay, we have multiple times until we hit. Okay, okay. All righty. So we're on to public comments. And there are a couple people to speak. Christy Van Hefty, did you want to speak? Okay. All right, and what? Yep.
Lay in that first.
Nope, Ann is up first.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Welcome. Hi,
Good evening, thank you. Is that okay?
yes, you're fine.
I'm Annie Von Newbert. I represent Reach. I'm a Reach member. Reach is, I'm sorry. It's 206 Court Street. It's Reach's address. Reach is the Calumet County Substance Misuse Prevention Coalition. We work to prevent youth access to substances in Calumet County. And I just wanted to thank you all for your consideration of the hemp derivative regulation ordinance and state that I'm here to answer any more questions that you might have. I work both at the local level and the state level in creating this ordinance to regulate the sales to our minors in and across Wisconsin.
Anybody have any questions? All right, well, thank you.
Work to do.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, Dan, I think you're up next.
Good evening. I've got some questions, kind of pertaining to,
Repeat your address first, your name and where.
oh, I'm sorry. My name is Dan Landecker. I live on, W 6987 Fire Lane 3 in Menasha. I'm here kind of on behalf of some of the homeowners down on 2 and 3. Mostly a lot of it has to do with the Waverly Beach, situation. I know that you guys have tried to enact a noise ordinance numerous times. I would like to know why that has still not been enacted. People down there are moving because they're tired of it. This next thing is the fact that Waverly was sold in 21 for over $3 million. Their assessment at this point is 1.9 million. And they've stuck another supposedly 4 million into it. So how do they get away with 1.9 million when they've got $8 million stuck into this place and the rest of us are subsidizing them, I assume? And the other thing I have to ask is, when you guys, with all of the new subdivisions and all of the building that's been going on here in the village, when they build a new subdivision, does the village pay for any of the sewer and water or the road improvements, or do they have anything to do with that?
Chandra, I'm talking to you.
Sure, what the village does is there's a development agreement with the developer, and the developer is responsible for all the utilities and roadway construction, so the village does not do anything. And
Okay,
as long as it's built to village spec, we'll consider accepting it and then maintain it from that point forward.
all right. I didn't know if, well, you know, when they first came through with the sewer and the water, we all paid for it. Up front, and I didn't know if the village was still continuing to do that. So I guess I don't want to subsidize all these developments that's going on in the village. And a lot of people had asked me about it, and I just told them I would get back to them on it. Are all of the businesses in the village assessed at the same rate the homeowners are?
Speak to that too.
That's a question. We have to verify, I mean, some of the businesses are, some of them aren't. It's hard to say that they all are.
The reason I'm asking is because people like myself that have been here for 50 years, you know, our taxes continually go up quite a bit in the last 10 years, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just curious to know is if these businesses that move in here, are they getting any kind of a break?
No.
Because they're moving in here? Are we at all subsidizing any of that? Which I hope we're not. I'm assuming we're not.
The only place that we are subsidizing. New business that the village is building around 55 in KK. The price of the land was cheaper to get the businesses, but then they're coming here and paying the full tax rate as if anybody else.
Okay, can anybody answer me on the Waverly situation?
Yes, I can be. I don't know about the noise ordinance. I know that it's been a problem in the past. I don't know if complaints have been made.
It's been a big problem,
Has there been complaints made to the sheriff's department this year?
about 5 times last year, this year. I'm not sure this year,
Well,
the last summer.
I
It's
understand.
only in the summer.
I understand. We can't do anything until we get complaints. So what I would.
How many signatures do you need?
Well. It helps in the cause if we get complaints that we can at least follow up on one complaint, and I wasn't aware of any this year.
Well, they had a lot of them last year. And the problem we have is Fox Crossing doesn't have an ordinance, Harrison doesn't have an ordinance, we can't get an ordinance passed from what I've been understanding of. And the people that are down there, myself, I'm a mile away, but on a west wind, I can hear bands in the summer when they play outside. And these people that live right alongside there, they put up with it all summer long. And there have been 3 people that have moved because they're tired of it, they just don't want to deal with it anymore. When Waverly moved in there, they were gonna get along with all of the people, that never happened. I had a friend of mine one night, the band was playing, it was really loud. He goes up there and gets a drink and said, aren't you worried about, you know, the noise? It's pretty loud out here. And the bartender told him, we don't give a about the neighbors. So that's not the attitude to have, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to, we've been there for 40, 50 years, a lot of these people.
I understand.
They come in and they just rule.
What I would say to that is, like I said, if we can get complaints when it's happening, we can follow up with it. If it's still a complaint, then let's talk offline, stop in and let's talk it over and see what we can do for the new year.
Okay, I'll start telling everybody that they got a call on
And I
it,
quite too about the assessment.
because it's in the summer mostly.
We're aware of the question about the assessment.
Yeah.
The timing issue as to when the project completed and what the value was as of 1/1 of the year.
Mhm.
And so that it will correct itself in the new year,
Okay,
in this year, as of 1/1.
yeah, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ben Hoffer?
Hi, I'm Ben Hefter at N9393 Emily Lane. I'm here to speak in favor of the drone show over the fireworks show at the Village Celebration in the summer. I live directly adjacent to Darboy Community Park. 2 years ago, we had smoldering debris raining down our house and littering all of our yard. We spent a couple hours the next day trying to clean all of it up, continue to flush out of our gutters for a few months following. Our dog was chewing on toxic fireworks debris that scattered our entire neighborhood. Last year, the wind was blowing in a slightly different direction. So instead of on our house, the debris was raining down on Sunrise Elementary, which I'm sure isn't great for the children who are playing in North Park there. It's not a great location to be setting off fireworks. So a drone show would definitely be more favorable to the community and to the neighborhood that is right in the area. The other thing that I would like to text the board to consider is, do we need to do a firework or drone show every year? I know in 2022, a survey was put out to the community asking what the community would like to have put in. A lot of people said trees and nature trails were some of the top things that were asked for. And $30,000 a year on a fireworks display seems like it's money that could be better spent towards putting in trees around some of our trails and in some of our parks versus being spent towards a yearly fireworks display that's 2 weeks after the 4th of July, when we've just had a big fireworks display that everybody's enjoyed. So I think that could be something for the board to consider if we do it maybe once every 5 to 10 years instead of yearly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Is there anyone that wishes to speak for the board? All right, hearing of none, we will move on to presentations. So we're up to the Wendell 5 Fuels presentation. We're doing this
Robert should be online.
Yep, I'm here.
here.
Vicky, will switch over to. Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
We are.
Okay, you can all see my screen, I'm assuming, or a screen, in other words. Thanks for having me. Tonight, we're just kind of gonna give a little bit of an update on where we are with the new progress at Fire Station 70. As you remembered, the last time I was in front of you, we kind of had a conceptual plan, very beginning stages. What I would say right now where we're at is a 20 to 30% done with the design documents. Just going to give you some updates on where we are, where we're heading, and what we've done so far tonight, and then ultimately where we are budget wise. So again, presentation outline, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history, about the schematic design of where we are for the site and facility, cost estimate, and then what's next. You can kind of see here on the front is a rendering of that's coming out of our program Revit in the end.
Switch. Okay, now you're there.
You need to let us know when you're moving the next screen.
Okay, perfect. I'll say switch, sure. I'll say slide when I go.
Thank you.
So right now we'll do, why don't you go ahead and hit the slide? And what we have in front of us here is the schedule right now and the project history and where we've been since we started. So again, the initial study project kickoff occurred in July, and we worked through August with the program and the concepts. Initial concepts were presented in September of 2024. We took tours of Greenville, O'Connell Falls, and the Suamico fire stations, updated concepts at that time, and then we did the presentation to the board. So that's where we were the last time that I was all in front of you.
Robert, before you, is the slide moving on your side?
The slide is, I'm on project history right now.
Okay, which is weird. So we are not. We're manually changing it in the room, but it's not changing on the Zoom meeting.
There we go.
Oh,
Let me try sharing a different screen. Maybe that's the situation here. Let's try. What do you guys see now?
Blank screen. Blank screen.
Blank screen, huh? What is happening?
Well, we can see it. We can see it on the other two, and we have it in front of us.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. I'll be recording and then.
Yeah, it's a meeting for an upcoming video.
Oh. Aha, ulterior motives.
About now.
Now we're seeing it.
Okay.
We got a little gray area, but it'll be all right. Okay.
Yeah, that gray area is the part of the Zoom thing. I'm not quite sure how to get away from that on the top screen. So let me know if you don't see it on the next one. So ultimately, you kind of see if you can see my laser pointer moving around, then we're probably in the right technology right now. So perfect. So stopping on again, we stopped on the conceptual plan, that presentation to the board that we did last time. We gave an estimate off of probable costs at that particular moment. Through November and December, obviously, we had a little bit of break. We began schematic design in December. In the beginning, and then we started having regular review meetings with I guess you could say the building committee, with the chief and Chad on and off. So we had schematic design meeting kickoff, we had systems review on the mechanical and the plumbing and the fire protection, electric with our sub consultants there. We had another meeting talking about the building type and what we wanted this facility to ultimately look like in the end, exterior wise. Another SD meeting for floor plan review, SD site and interiors, another meeting there. And then ultimately today we have the draft and report and opinion of probable costs. I will point out there is one thing that was in here missing where we took all of you on another tour of Greenville. The board attended that in January and saw that Greenville fire station that's not on necessarily this agenda. So next slide. So really, what is the schematic design report and what is inside of that body of this report that we'll be delivering to you here this week? It's really a stopping point for us, just to make sure we're heading down the right path with budget. As you can see, you know, it formulates that general understanding of the projects, the physical requirements, the sizes, the occupancies. We start adding doors and walls and windows. You know, as I mentioned, it's that 20% set in the end. We talk about big picture items again. So not a lot of engineering has gone into this yet, but the model, essentially Revit is a model where we start modeling the facility and we start talking about building envelope and start planning the structure and various code reviews to make sure we're heading down the right path and talk about finishes. We're not really into the colors yet of the finishes, more of the materials and what one would expect in the facility. Begin to talk about the mechanical electrical systems. And as I kind of said, you know, at this point they haven't drawn, but they will, you know, moving as we move forward. And then we do an SD level construction estimate in the end. Push the button again. And we have the end deliverable, the SD report. You know, like I said, we'll be delivering that here in this week, where it's essentially a package, you know, a deliverable that we will give to the village. It has the written reports of all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural systems, and then various drawings on the architectural, the floor plan, dimension plans, roof plans, exterior elevations, building sections, finished floor plans. We do the mechanical zoning, you know, so which rooms are on which thermostats, that type of stuff. Start penciling in beam sizes and joist sizes for the roof. Have the consultants start working on the site plan a little more, so you'll see more definition in there. And again, that SD level estimate. Next slide. So what I'm gonna kind of go through here is just the overall, you know, brief update on where we are with the site and where we are with the floor plan, and you'll kind of see some of the, you already kind of got a caught of some of the elevations, but we'll kind of go through some of the exteriors as well. So you can kind of see here is the site so far to date that we have drawn in the schematic design. You can see it's starting to get a lot more detailed than the last time you saw it. Physically asking the civil engineer instead of the architect playing civil engineer in me. So we've started to work with McMahon in the end, and you know, essentially the main entrance to the facility is on the west side. You can see there'll be a parking lot for visitors that's separate than the apparatus. And again, that's key because responding apparatus coming back, firefighters responding to the scene in a hurry. So we try to keep the visitors portion parking lot separate from anyone that may be responding in a fast mode. So responders in the end would be parking on the north side of the station. Apparatus would be returning off of the new Homestead Lane and coming back and going in through the drive-through bays. And then in a response delivered scenario, they'd be heading out and then heading out on Manitowoc Road. We're in the beginning stages of locating, you know, monument signs, you know, whether or not that's the final location. Obviously, we'll start working here now with planning commission and doing various landscaping plans, lighting plans, and various other things to get all in front of that. But right now, you know, as far as the estimate goes, we want to make sure, okay, a monument sign is on the plan, so we have the appropriate pricing and various other things, right? You can see some of the alternates taking shape. So in the base bid, when we look at the estimate, we have the alternate bays on this plan. We also have alternates to go to concrete in lieu of asphalt, you know, holding numbers for those to ensure on bid day that we're under budget, and then all of you can decide, you know, how you want to move forward and which alternates you want to take as we move forward through the process. Next slide. Kind of stole some of my own thunder because they had double in there, but you know, another thing that I did not bring up is the shared water retention. You kind of can't see it here. It's up in the more of the upper right hand corner where you can start to see where that'll be a part of the project as well. I did go through a lot of things on the left already, but you know, ultimately shared water retention up in the right hand corner. So a lot of the roof drains, a lot of the water runoff, you know, you can see it's heading that way and heading to that pond and off site sort of. Next slide. So overall, when you kind of look at the exterior of the facility and just a brief overview of the size of it, you know, under the base bid, we're at about 22,985 square feet. That's essentially taking off the two bays that you would see here on the right-hand side. So these will be bid as an alternate. So that's 3,245 square feet of alternate bays. So on bid day, as I mentioned, you know, whether this two bays is on there will entirely be up to you after bid day, when we'll come there and present it and we'll talk about it and see where all the bids come in for the entire facility. And then you'll make that determination when we get to that point. Really, it is the entire facility is a single story facility. What you're seeing here is Manitowoc Road looking being northwest. So you see the bays. This is the training tower, the stair tower that ultimately does go upstairs to the mezzanine, which is just a single mezzanine, storage and mechanical that would be upstairs. These are small offices here, and then this training room is essential in the corner. This other view would be looking more from the new farm road looking southeast. This would be the entrance to the facility, and this is that training room wall again, opposite side of what you're seeing here. So nice main entry, you know, shows where to go when you're coming to visit the building. So they're not necessarily going to other rooms at the end. But as far as the facade goes, you can see it's very similar to that Greenville, you know, brick and different tones of brick and slanted various roofs. Everything's flat, pretty much with the exception of that training room, but that training room would still be an EPD on flat roof. We're just surface draining back. So containing all the water, containing all the snow is the intent, and taking it to that pond in the end. Next slide. So now what we're seeing here is the floor plan. So, you know, as I mentioned the last time you saw this, we had a lot of just bubbles. So you can kind of see the definition that these floor plan is starting to take in the end. And I'll do a brief walkthrough. You know, that main entrance, that vestibule again is here. We come into a lobby with two doors flanking some. You'll see an operable partition that we put in the middle of the training room. So we have the ability to break that down into two rooms or open that up partition into one single room. Off of that training room is then training table and chair storage and training storage, as well as a kitchen area for, you know, various catered events and so on and so forth, or firefighter meals that they'll bring in. This wall here will be the teaching wall. So, you know, whether we do flat screen TVs or projection or however we end up doing it, this will be the way that they're facing in that training atmosphere. Lobby again, then we have the mother's room that we're putting into this facility, two men's and women's toilets, and a janitor's closet off of that. You kind of see this allows for that, you know, keeping everything in front of the house and the security aspect. If you have an event there, you know, people will not be able to get to the back of the house to the fire department side without the proper credentials to go past the front door, really. So coming into that office wing, then we have the potential for an admin, you know, position where there, you know, could be a an opening here and a door where they're greeted, you know, or they're buzzed in at the vestibule and talk to any admin in the future. We have a printer room, workshop, you know, work area, so copier, you know, various other things on the backside that would be shared by the entire office suite. We've got fire chief, fire investigator, deputy fire chief, assistant chief, and EMS chief offices. Then we have an EMS report writing and a quartermaster storage with a conference room off the corner. So very similar to what you saw at Greenville with all the offices and the banks there, and then that nice conference room with a lot of glass opening up that area and in that space. As you walk down this hallway, then you can see on the right, we've got an admin staff toilet and then just general record storage. Coming through on the left-hand side, then we have an exercise room that has a, you know, toilet shower room specifically off of that exercise room for other members of the village employees that could come and use that exercise room with an exterior door here, so they can enter here and again still have no access to the fire station if that's the way you want to move forward. I'll stay here into the apparatus. I'll kind of go through the apparatus bay and then I'll come back to the living quarters. So a watch room, again, the fishbowl that you would have saw at Greenville, you know, right off the bays, lots of glass looking out onto the bay, becomes there, again, you know, a lot of computer workstations, charging stations, maps, you know, TVs with weather reports and various other things. It really becomes the location where, you know, in that event where the first wave of responders may come and leave and the second wave is coming through and waiting. You know, it becomes that area where it's kind of hanging out, you know, in the end. So that's right off the apparatus bay. Again, the hose training tower we talked a lot about. We'll be meeting with the department more specifically about a lot of the training features in here. A lot of times we do confined space, a lot of rappelling activity, multiple hose training exercises and so on and so forth within there. So that meeting's yet to come, but that'll be a great tool for them. As you come up, again, the 4 bays are the base bid, and then these 2 end bays, this plan's showing the alternates, so these 2 end bays are the alternate bids. As you come back through then, you know, the cancer prevention and the decontamination suite starts to happen. So we've got some hose storage and some dive storage that are flanking doors that go into PPE. So really, essentially, you're coming back, we have EMS storage, a hallway where you would go to access SCBA clean and fill station with a little bit of PPE surplus off of that. Up in this hallway then, again, we have a workshop, flammable storage area. And then in that incident after a fire, they're coming through the hallway, coming into the decon suite, dropping their gear, dropping their PPE, cleaning all of that again, like you saw at Greenville, putting it in extractors, getting it dried, and then putting it back into the protective gear lockers. And then coming through after that, they can go to various toilet rooms. Then we have 3 of those for going through, cleaning up, taking showers after that fire incident again, but then taking those clothes that are underneath their PPE, grabbing new sets that are in some small lockers here for all of the members, and then going through that clean process of, again, going in a residential dish, clothes washer and dryer, getting those all cleaned before they come out on the other end. The residential area, again, living quarters area, that is our other alternate that we're going to bid out, very similar to Greenville. We've got the day room, kitchen, dining room area, a water service room where we'll bring in utilities. We've got a staff vestibule on this side where they can come in, and also one on the apparatus side where they're come in and, you know, if they're going straight to PPE, they can go straight there. If they're coming to the living quarters, they can head into the hallway to go to one of the dorms. So we've got 8 dorms along the back wall. And again, this area will be that alternate bid to decide on bid day whether you want to build it out. Where you saw Greenville, it was not bid out. They decided not to. In this instance, you'll have that same choice. Really, the intent here then is to be able, these dorm rooms would then share these bathrooms, again, being able to come back and to hit these dorm bathrooms, you know, should these be built in the future. On the right-hand side, you can see the hose training tower again. That's coming upstairs where we talked about the mezzanine for more storage. There'll be some training props. We talked about a residential type window that comes out in the apparatus bay. I've got a guardrail here that will remove, and again, a lot more things are gonna be designed. What I would say the features into here as we keep meeting. And then the SCBA compressor, a lot of times you'll see that in one room. We bring the compressor upstairs and then pipe it down to the fill station in the adjacent room, so you're not having that loud compressor while you're trying to work and do SCBA maintenance in that space. And then last but not least, a mechanical room where hot water heaters, boilers, so on and so forth will be in that space, electrical and everything there. Next slide. So overall, like I kind of mentioned, as we draw more of the details and the estimates start coming together where things, firm up. As you can see here. Oh, are we good?
So I show here that we don't have that slide on our present, but it's not in your head. You have to look at the attachment that I handed out. On your desk. Go ahead.
Okay. So, as like kind of mentioned last time when we were there, the more we draw, the more tight the estimates get. So what you'll kind of see on the screen is what I had. Long story short, what we're at right now is previously when I was there last time, we were at about $9,050,000 for the cost of work-based bid. And that's for the building itself. Right now we are at about 8.8 million. So that did come down in the last phase. The more we drew, it came down. When you add that construction contingency and that number still is still holding on to a design contingency of 5%, an escalation of 6%. We wanted to keep the escalations in, just not knowing where we are right now in the world in regards to tariffs and various other things. So it was important to keep those placeholders in there as we move forward. But the good news is it was under about $200,000 on the building itself. And then as you kind of see on the bottom of this is construction contingency, again, keeping a contingency fund there as we move through construction. So 5%. Various other soft costs, I've been working with Chad to make sure, we've got the right power there. Do we need to have the gas? What kind of gas do we have coming to the site and various other things? So we're kind of trying to nail down what those soft costs are, working with We Energies to make sure that we have every dollar really accounted for in the entire project. So when you look at the total project based bid on the bottom, previously when I was there last time, it was about 10.8 million, give or take, about 10.783. And as of right now, we're looking at about 10.478. So again, the more we drew, it came down, and it's hopefully as we keep moving forward here and the economy kind of stays a little even, we'll keep on pushing away until we get the bids. You can see on the bottom, then we threw in the alternate bids for the alternate number one for the 2 additional apparatus bays. Right now we have that estimated about $500,000. Alternate bid number 2 will be the living quarters build out, which we're at about $622,000. Alternate bid number 3 on the concrete apron would be about $180,000. So at this particular point, if everything total project cost and all alternates were accepted, the number is about 11.785. I think before we were there it was 11.9, somewhere in that neighborhood. So the good news is that the more we drew, we came down in price since we saw you last time, and we're going to keep on working with the department and see what else we can come and value engineer out of it and come to a good spot. And hopefully we can get some of these alternates constructed and give you all a bunch of choices in the end. Next slide. So where are we? You kind of saw this last time. We were on the left-hand side of the schematic design, so now we're on the right hand of the schematic design in the end. I think as we truck along here on design, we're going to be, let's do a next slide just as long as we can, because then we'll understand where the end game is here. So we're going to begin design development. If you all like where you're seeing tonight, and I guess that's up to all of you if you need a motion for us to keep going, but with the bids where we have and the estimates where we're at, we feel pretty comfortable to keep on moving forward with the department. We've already today started to lay out the roadmap for the meetings, and should we get your blessing here to keep trucking along, we'll end up sending some meetings to Jared and crew and Chad to start scheduling the various other meetings that we need to get this done. But you can kind of see begin design development as soon as we turn loose here in February. Construction documents, which is just adding more detail to the plans in March. Hoping to release those documents for bidding sometime in April. Receive those bids at the beginning of May, and then we could give them 2 to 3 weeks, probably 3 weeks to put the bids together on all the subs that will packages that we'll do for you, and really get contracts going in May, and then start construction hopefully here in June, the beginning of June, and in a perfect world, complete construction in May. And a lot of that, to be honest, with the complete construction, it depends on asphalt plants. If we can get a good fall behind us and get the asphalt in before Mother Nature doesn't allow us to do that, then you may be able to move in sooner, but really that May date is based off of, asphalt plants shutting down and not being able to put asphalt down until May. So we play that one by ear as we move forward there, and hopefully we can get it in, and, there could be a point there sometime in March or April where you move in, depending on how we can, if we can get that asphalt in. Next slide. And that's questions time. So any questions for me?
I don't think we put anything on the agenda to make a motion to move forward with the project, because I think we all assumed we were going to continue to move forward. And we appreciate the update and the status. But I don't think we need a motion to move forward,
No.
right? So I think we're good to go. I think you guys are good to go. We like this.
All right, I appreciate it. And I was happy that you liked what you saw in Greenville, and we'll keep working, and we'll have another update for you after that design development package. And again, not stopping, but doing estimates along this entire process to make sure we're heading right direction. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Excellent. Okay, we are looking at reports. So you have the fire rescue report in front of you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we will move on. You have the sheriff's report in front of you. I'd like to make a quick comment. I really like the new format that you did in the beginning of the report. Well, it is very easy to read. So thank you. Are there any comments or questions on the report? Hearing none, we have the assistant village manager planning and zoning report.
Thank you, Chair. I just would like to state that Russell's report is in that packet, and I got a couple of questions.
Sorry.
I got a couple of questions of why it didn't have its own heading, and unfortunately, Russ is gonna start transitioning out of here, so when we set up this new agenda, we did put a slot for him. We use that for the finance director treasurer, so it's just attached to my report as now, but in the future, it won't.
All right. Are there any?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
just one quick comment on that topic. As a vision, I would be transitioning out of the interim role with action later on this agenda. And then we got another action about doing some recodification, but I was looking to try to scale back on some of the coaching and those type of things by the end of March. So I think I've reported that I'm in the office twice a week now through the end of March. And then if we go forward on the recodification work, I scale that back even further to 1 day a week or twice a month. Just so you know what my schedule is with moving forward, if that's the desire of the board.
Thank you.
Julie, can I press this? Vicky, is this request to speak still active or not?
Yes.
Do you see it lodged somewhere?
No, I don't see.
Okay, I'm just going for it.
Just go for it.
Thank
Just
you.
go for it.
I just have a question on the Civic Plus website. What is this citizen reporting portal?
The citizen reporting portal is another portal that we purchased that will be launching in the coming months, and it allows citizens to make actual requests. Or then it gets directed to the right department, and then they follow up on it.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
We had hoped that the new website was gonna go live already. You'll see that in my report. It is actually going live tomorrow. There was a couple of hiccups, but It should be live by the end of the day tomorrow.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing of none. On this side. Or actually, Russ stuck in here. Wait a second, yeah, Russ is in here. But we
That's part of kids.
already spoken.
We already talked about it.
Already spoken. There we go. Now we have Alyssa. Okay. Any questions or comments on Alyssa's report, Finance Director? Hearing of none, very good. We are moving on to the budget report. Any questions or comments on the budget report? Hearing of none, we are to Parks and Trails. Chad,
Nothing.
nothing new. Any questions or comments on the Parks and Trails?
Just on the lighting project. Can you get an update on the grass infections on that? It's been taking a while.
Okay. You can do that.
I imagine it'll be a couple weeks based on your report.
Yes.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the Parks and Trail report? Hearing of none, we're moving on to Public Works and Engineering. I know they were out steaming culverts today. They actually had a front loader trying to get the ice off Harrison Hill. So, school bus was having a problem. So, any questions or comments? Hearing of none. Okay, all right. Clerk's report. Any questions or comments? Hearing of none. We have the financial summary. Any questions or comments? Hearing of none. We have the ARPA report. Any questions or comments? Hearing of none. Harrison Utilities. Any questions or comments?
All I would say is we were making a transition from M&E to McMahon, and we've been working closely with Lee to pick up and get going on a few of these projects that are aligned in the report and everything. So like, well,
Excellent. All good, guys? And we are up to approval bills and claims for December. Now, we're gonna have to go back to the cell phone, Chad, go back to the, but how many phones are they? They all timed out. Yeah, I like Android better too, to tell you the truth.
We need to get some free Android phone. These exams, and I was pretty simple. Red stuff with all line.
Great, so we need a motion to approve, a motion a second, is there a motion to approve the bills and claims for December?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Julie,
I'll second.
second by Darlene to approve the bills and claims, any discussion? Okay, now we're just waiting for voting is open, vote your ballot. We're not to hit anything else on the left.
I hit some.
Mine's not scrolling.
I really want to vote yes. Oh, okay. I did that first, but then I hit May and then it hit refresh and then it shut down.
Trustee
I
Bowman,
don't know how I voted, but did you get it?
trustee Bowman,
She said,
I think you're registered.
I did.
It says it was accepted.
We'll figure this out
Yeah.
eventually, guys.
I just did it for you.
All right, so the motion is. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's passed unanimously. Very good. There is no old business, correct? Very good, no old business. So we are into new business. Conditional use permit Paul and Katie Meyer and 7943 State Park Road.
Motion approved.
Motion by Matt, second by Mike to approve. Any questions or comments?
The only thing I would say is this came out of planning commission adding a number 4, which was the conditional use permit shall be non-transferable. So if they sell the property, they can't continue this water closet, so they'll have to report something to handle that, but we'll deal with that.
Any other questions or comments? Are you prepared to vote your ballot? Vote your ballot. Did we all make it?
It's been accepted.
It's not showing up.
Might need to refresh my head.
I did that.
Oh,
Anyone in favor?
I just might.
Okay, Julian's plan.
Fingers go.
In favor?
Yeah. No, we'll go.
This will work out eventually. Eventually. Do we have it? We have the
Oh,
vote?
shit. Should
Do you
you?
have it? Screen- There it goes. Let the record show the motion to approve has passed unanimously. All right, very good. Next up, certified survey map for Don Milky.
No, Crossroads. Crossroads.
Oh. Crossroads, you're right, Joe. Okay, Crossroads, is there a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Motion by Mark, second by, I didn't see it. Motion, who's the second?
I can do it. Fine. I'll second.
Okay. Refresh your ballot. Any discussion? Put your ballot.
Mine is froze.
Yours is frozen.
I'm froze.
You know, I think it freezes if you hit one and you hit another one and they don't clear. Click your right through. You don't clear.
I think you're in the dead zone of our Wi-Fi.
Oh, that could be a problem.
I think it's our Wi-Fi.
I'm upgrading the Wi-Fi next 5 days to
Yeah.
1 gigabyte.
I think you're right.
Police department has asked for it to download dash cam videos, so that should help us.
Yeah, we gotta put booster in it.
We have it already.
Okay, let the record show the motion to approve is passed unanimously. Now we're to Don Milky. So certified survey map for Don Milky,
I'll make one.
motion by Mark,
I'll second it.
second by Mike to approve. Any discussion? Vote your ballot.
The Wi-Fi connected to me, put me down for yes.
Do you want to sit in my lap?
Yeah.
Doesn't look very urgent.
What's that?
It's not working.
Mine went through. It told me it was,
I'm on the Wi-Fi too.
sure, you're the favorite. But it's like, said that mine's accepted, said my vote's accepted. Okay.
Is all one come through?
Yours, okay, they came through. Okay, let the record show the motion has been approved unanimously. Okay, next up is certified survey map for urban Zarier.
Let's make a motion to approve, but with. The writing says it's on the east side of 114, it's actually on the west side of 114.
Good catch.
I'll second it with the change.
Which correction? Any further discussion?
I'm sorry, who's second?
I got,
I did.
Thank you.
vote your ballot.
Are you down for yes? I don't, my phone's froze up.
We don't have it open yet. It's the first question.
It's open.
So it's there.
Did everybody come through? Okay, let the record show the motion has been approved unanimously. All right. Next, do we need a drum roll here?
First, we need I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve the. Village manager contract and appointing Chad Helichek as the village manager for the village of Harrison. I'll second that.
Second by Matt. Any discussion? Or then congratulations.
Thank you.
We gotta vote first. Everybody's gotta get the ballot. Sorry.
Do you get to get sworn in now or what?
He's not an officer.
Reeves.
Just someone guess or yes.
Yeah, I'm on.
What's that?
It let me go. Everything.
What's that?
Oh, I just want to know, I do have a cake, celebratory cake, so I've got plenty for everybody when we go into session right before that, everybody wants to stop for a piece of cake to congratulate you. Yes.
So let's hear it for Chad. Chad wanted to say a few words.
So I just want to say a few words and say thank you to the board for adopting the contract and thank you to the staff for the warm welcome and for keeping me here. I intend not to fill the assistant village manager position. If anything, we'll look at reclassifying that in the future for maybe a GIS person as we try to advance our records and get them more digital. So as of now, I'm gonna leave the roles with Josh and the staff, and I think we'll do just fine, but we're not gonna fill the assistant position.
Excellent. Okay.
Congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you.
All right. We are moving on. That was quick. Concept plan for the Lunia property North Shore. Chad, want to speak to this?
Sure, so Scott's in the audience and he is the proposed developer for Scott DeWitt for this subdivision of 65 lots. This would be off of Highway Road and State Highway 114 and North Shore Road. This is served by Harrison Utilities. There is the future land use for this area shows this is single family residential. There's some concerns with potential wetland issues and the configuration of some lots, and we'll be working with the developer through that, but overall, the staff recommends approval of this concept plan.
Questions or comments?
I just, that's all Kimberly School District here?
I think so,
Yeah,
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion,
Okay, go ahead.
make a motion to approve. Concept plan for Linear property, North Shore Road is mentioned circulated.
There's
I'll
a
second it.
second by Darlene. Any further discussion? Refresh, there we go. This is what, it'd be really delicate with how you flip that screen. You keep getting two of them at once.
Did mine work, Vicky?
All right. Very good. Okay, let the record show that the concept plan has been approved unanimously. Very good. Next up is a certificate of payment for number 2, 3, 4 for Crossroad Business Park and payment number 3 for Darboy Park Lighting Project.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All of the above?
Yes.
The motion to approve all the payments. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Darlene. Any discussion? Vote your ballot.
Mike, continue.
Yeah, on a different screen.
Got it.
You know, it's really touchy.
It
It's
is.
pretty touchy. And if you
Well, see, I hit 2 buttons and
Yeah.
mine froze up for all that time. That works.
let the record show that the motion to approve has passed unanimously. All right, that's, next up is the purchase of a 2025 Ford Escape pickup truck for our new building inspector. You probably should have been here tonight to meet everybody.
So we recruited a building inspector that is a former housing developer, housing contractor. He is taking 7 tests over the next 2 years, to get the certifications we need. He's mentoring with Paul today through this year. But given that he'll be going out on inspections in the short order, the deal is that there should be a dedicated vehicle for him. So he's not having to take his own vehicle out onto construction sites and stuff. We looked at and you'll see in the memo, we looked at purchasing a used vehicle. And it was only like $2,600 or more to get a brand new vehicle, so we're proposing the brand new vehicle. This was a non-budgeted item. We would use the funds that we're gonna be saving from the village, assistant village manager position to fund this non-budgeted item, but I think it makes sense for the inspector to have a vehicle.
Any discussion, questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Scott, second by Matt.
Sure, I'll second it, and then I have a question.
Okay,
The vehicle will be stored here during our holiday.
Yes, and it will be maintained by the public works staff.
any other questions or comments? There's a motion and a second, vote your ballot. I think we all made it. Do we all make it? We're working on this. It's coming. Yes. The motion to approve has passed unanimously. I think we're all getting better. All right, very good. Okay, ordinance B 25-01, creating chapter 16, section 16-7, hemp derived. I cannot pronounce the word,
Cannabinoid,
cannabinoid regulations. So we have the information in your packet. I'll make a motion to approve. Motion by Julie,
I'll second it.
second by Scott to approve the ordinance. Any discussion?
All I would say is that we don't really have a place to put this in our ordinance code, so we've got some additional sections on the back, so the 16.7 doesn't really line up, it'll just be its own section until we look at a rewrite of the ordinance.
Vote your ballot. You cannot throw your vote. Did it work?
Oh.
Let the record show the motion to approve is passed unanimously. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you very much. All right, ordinance B 25-03, amending chapter 6, section 6 through 42, subsection B, kennel licenses. Chad, did you want to speak to this, or is this?
Sure, so what we're doing here is adding rural residential zone with general agriculture to allow for kennels. We've got a couple that have been previously permitted in rural residential zones, and the ordinance hasn't been updated to follow that. We are also recommending taking it out of the community commercial zone, especially as we try to build different types of community commercial in those districts. I don't know that we want a dog kennel next to a coffee shop. So we're recommending approval of it. There will be some additional changes going forward on setting some standards of what these kennels need to look like in case we have complaints that we can have something to follow up on. But for now, we're just modifying the zoning to continue the permitting, and we will address it as the 26 renewal is built.
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Okay, question, Matt?
I do have a question. So I have a concern about this, of it being a permitted use versus a conditional use, because as a permitted use, the village, you really have no say whatsoever. And once these individuals would have a permitted use, then it becomes non-conforming if we change something later. So I believe this should be a conditional use so that you do have those oversight and can.
We will address that, and it will be updated as such. We just have to go through more of a public PR process to update the text in the zoning code. By publishing a class 2 notice and some additional things, but that will be coming forward in the new year. For the new renewals in 26, is that correct?
correct. There also, Alyssa and I were talking about creating a permit that would go along with the kennel license, because with dog licensing, you can have either a single, families up to 3 dogs. These are for the kennel licenses, meaning 4 or more dogs. And we're looking at making that a little bit more strict, and like Chad said earlier, having more criteria and things that they would have to pass before they could get their kennel license.
And that will be addressed in the zoning. So we can bring your stuff in at the same time.
Okay, but we have had a history, we had an issue with a property off of Manitowoc Road. As a township
Okay,
several years ago. And it was ugly situation
we understand
with
that.
protesters in this room back in the day.
Okay,
They would still need to have their license approved, their kennel license.
Okay, so there would still be a.
There's still that
That
extra,
extra step.
yes,
And that's an annual renewal.
it's an annual renewal. All this does, this ordinance just allows it to be a permitted use in that zoning district. But it does not grant or guarantee them their license.
Okay.
Just like you can have a bar on Main Street, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed your liquor license.
Oh.
Does that,
Any other questions or comments? I believe there was a motion and a second already on the floor to approve. Todd, are we prepared to vote our ballot? Vote the ballot. And let the record show the motion is carried unanimously. Ordinance B 25-04, 4, amending chapter 24, sections 92 and 93, hotel and motel room tax.
Finance structure.
Melissa,
All right, so back in the early 2000s, the room tax rates were increased from 3% to 5% to help pay for the PAC bonds, when the PAC was built in the city of Appleton. Once those bonds were paid, the room tax should have been reevaluated again and reduced back down to 3%. Since the village obviously doesn't have any hotels, and more recently, you know, with Airbnbs and home rentals, there's more of a crackdown on paying those fees. So in 2024 was the first time in a while that we've received any room tax funds. So once we did, I reached out to Pam Seidel at the Fox City CVB, and she said our ordinance was obviously outdated, so I'm just bringing it back to review that, putting the percentage back down to 3% since those bonds are paid. And then of that 3%, the village will keep 25%, and then the remaining 75% will be allocated to the Fox Cities CVB, because obviously they help with tourism things in the area as well. So,
any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Julie,
A second.
second by Darlene to approve. Vote your ballot. We're good. Did everything come through? Before we look at Mike, got it? Okay, let the record show the motion is passed unanimously. Excellent. All right, ordinance B 2505, repealing and recreating chapter 2, section 2 through 123, 2-124 Village Plan Commission. Chad?
Vicky.
This is based on the motion that was made a few months ago when the board decided and directed staff to update the ordinance to accommodate two village board members on the plan commission, changing it from 3.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Second by Mark. Any questions or comments?
I think I do have a comment on this from the section C here, where the village president shall assume the role of the plan commission presiding officer. That I really believe that this plan commission body should be electing their own presiding officer, which they may choose to elect said village president. That should be up to this planning body who they want to have as their presiding officer.
If you can just hold, I believe that statute will verify it. I think the state statute says that the village president is the chair of the planning.
I think that's
It does.
correct too. No, that's
It
correct.
does. It does, and it's always been.
Yeah,
If it's always been, doesn't mean no, it should.
but in the state
The statute,
statute.
The state statute 7 then.
So any other questions or comments? There's a motion and a second to approve. Vote your ballot. Welcome. Is it there yet? Are we good? Okay, let the record show that the motion has passed to approve unanimously. Very good. Okay, recycling program evaluation inspection by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. This Chad?
Sure, so just a quick update, so everything came out good, the only thing that the state is recommending. After 10 years is us to look at our ordinance, and we'll be doing that in a future document, the next document we're talking about, so. Otherwise, the recycling program for the village is going well.
So no action is required. Are
Correct.
there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Matt.
My only comment is I'm glad that DNR recognized that we let way more than the minimums. I do believe that a strong attribution to collecting way more than minimums is the fact that we offer weekly recycling pickup. And the residents really enjoy that weekly recycling pickup, and it's just natural human nature. But then when we full, it's just gonna go to the next open bin. So by having that picked up weekly, they recycle a lot more. So
Very good. So no action is required. Moving on. We are approval for McMahon to lead municipal code rewrite modernization. So Russ, this is Russ.
Yeah, there's a memo in your packet. Basically, this is an option to continue with our management consulting contract, so there's no changes to that agreement that'll cover the services. I'm estimating that'll be about 250 hours of work. If we need to go above that 250 hours, I'd come back to the village board for additional funding or authorization to proceed beyond that dollar amount. We put $35,000 in the budget. What I did in my handout was I gave you a listing of the village of Harrison's codes. And I superimposed the codes from Fox Crossing, Greenville, and Caledonia, which are similar communities in the state of Wisconsin that went from a town to a village or a city, and trying to match those up. So in working with Chad, we're gonna try to incorporate what they're doing. We would get an attorney's review after we go through an internal review process. We'll have an internal subcommittee, probably with the village manager, the village clerk, maybe a couple other employees. Present those to the village attorney, and then have the village board approve, like you have tonight, a number of different ordinances. What we found in looking at the ordinances is there's still a lot of references to chapter 60, which is the section of the state statutes referring to towns. And we would put that in compliance with 66 and 62 and 64, 62 and 66. So we'll work with the attorney, do a rewrite, get the code up to date. You saw a number of actions tonight. We'll do this over a period of time, come forward with the necessary public hearings if it's required. Otherwise, we'll have ordinances before you just to do the rewrite. And what we want to do is make sure we cover the areas that you want to cover. We heard some discussion about noise and kennels and all those other things. So we'll try to work that into the rewrite as well. Got a folder started on that. And that's pretty much it, unless there's other questions about the process. But I would continue then after the interim and coaching provisions through the end of March. Probably again doing once a week, maybe twice a month, coming in, working with staff and getting these updated. We even do some work from home on some of the codes. So that's the plan.
Any questions or comments?
Clyde, what, 13 years too late?
Yeah, when the town became a village, somebody went through and just did a word search and changed the word town to village. But the underlying references to state statutes are way behind and have to be up.
I'll make a motion to approve. Motion to approve by Julie,
Second.
second by Scott. Any discussion? Vote your ballot.
Yeah, that's really difficult in this meeting.
Did we get everybody? All right, let the record show the motion to approve has passed unanimously. You're stuck with us for a while, Russ.
You're stuck with me.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. All right. Approval of contract with management, final design, bidding and construction services for DPW garage expansion project.
So we had an original contract with McMahon for 46,000 to do some of the preliminary design and see if we are able to build it out to the budget we had planned, which was 2.6 million. The board had previously accepted that design, so now this is the final design and the bidding package, and then state approvals and construction admin and construction observations. So it's $141,000 contract, so staff was recommending approval.
Any questions or comments? Yeah,
So when are you thinking? Like, what's the timetable you're thinking when you would
I'm
actually?
trying to line this one up with the bidding of the fire station.
Okay,
And then our goal is, we just postponed, we were gonna try to go to the market for borrowing in April. We postponed it to the end of May, early June, so we're gonna try to line these two up together.
okay.
good. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Mark to approve. Second by Darrell. There we go. There we go. Vote your ballot. I think we're getting the hang of this.
Sometimes.
We got a hang of this. Let the record show the motion to approve has passed unanimously. Excellent, good work. All right, approval of vacant offer to purchase from Van Zelen Ventures LLC to purchase lot 5 in the Crossroad Business Park. Yeah,
So I guess we have a couple concerns about this one.
Okay.
And that is with the details, within their offer. First one being that they want, all building plans approved first. That's kind of backwards from some other offers, I believe, where the offers we've accepted without that stipulation. But the more important stipulation I have a real concern about is, it says here, and TIF approval by the village. And I know we agreed on this property as a board unanimously that we were not doing additional TIF approvals.
That is correct. There is no additional, that's referencing the incentivized pricing of the land.
Okay, well then I guess I feel like they
We can
should scratch.
we can scratch that out.
We should scratch that out because the price of land's already in the price of land anyway, so.
Okay.
Otherwise they could think that they're doing something else.
Sure.
any other questions or comments?
Do you have to adjust the motion to take that out?
I would recommend.
Do you mind if I make a comment real quick on the building, the construction approval? That there are restrictive covenants on this land that requires fairly strict village board approvals, if I'm wrong. So when we put those covenants together, I recall expecting requests for pre-approval of construction plans. Because otherwise the risk is for a buyer, they could buy the land and the village could say no to everything that came their way. So given the restrictive covenants what they are, I'm not surprised or shocked that a buyer would want pre-approval before going to closing.
Okay, makes sense. I'll make the motion to approve the vacant offer to purchase from Van Zelen Ventures LLC. With the amendment of taking out the TID incentive in the contract. I'll second it.
Second by Mike. Any other questions or comments? Hearing are done. Refresh your screen. Okay, vote your ballot. Let the record show the motion to approve us passed unanimously. Very good. Next up, purchase of a new wireless microphone system for the boardroom. Chad, you want to speak to this?
Sure, so as you know, when we're gonna leave the legacy system, which is the local, we don't have a means of requesting to speak. So this system is, we actually have 2 quotes of the same system. I'm recommending us to move forward with Camera Corner strictly because of Camera Corner is located in Green Bay and they can provide some on-site help with implementing the system. Basically, we're going to go to a 10 mic wireless conference mic system that has a built-in queue in each of them, so you'll be able to see where you are on the request to speak, and then the chairperson would be able to kind of release the people and allow you to speak. If the thought of going to the wireless and the 10 is the 7 trustees, the 1 public, and then 2 for the staff, so that we're making sure that everybody can hear what's going on and core stuff, and then the technology that comes behind it. The system is antiquated and they can't find anything on it, so it's time for an upgrade.
Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve purchase of a new speaker and sound system for the boardroom as printed and circular.
I'll second. A second by Julie. Any further discussion? Vote your ballot. Let the record show the motion to approve is passed unanimously. Very good. Okay, review of findings for Woodland Road, Chad.
So you'll see the memo in your packet from Lee, so we put the speed trailer out on Woodland Road. On the time frame, the December 11th and the January 9th. We looked at the data and like Manitowoc Road, the data is within, the speeds are within 5 miles of the posted speed. There was a couple outliers that were on there that we'll have to address, but overall, there was not enough to change to meet the DOT requirements. And we looked at the crash data and that was relatively low as well. So at this point, staff is recommending no change to Woodland Road based on the information from the sheriff's department and then the analyzing that McMahon did.
Any questions or comments? Yeah,
Thank you. So as far as where does it, because this road, we do get a lot of questions on. And I realize that the cars, pretty much what this is saying is the cars are going to speed limit. But when does it get determined if the 45 mile an hour speed limit is too fast of a speed limit to have? To begin with,
You'd have to drop out of that 85th percentile. And that speed range, you'd have to get. Either 5 or 10 miles an hour outside of that posted speed limit with those two criteria. And then you start looking at crash data as well. If there's a lot of crash data to warrant changing that speed limit. It's not just the speed data itself. It's also the crash data, but the information provided by the sheriff department, I think it was 4 accidents out there over the last 5 years.
yeah, it's more of the pedestrian safety that we hear about there, so, okay.
and this item is a returning action, correct?
Right.
Julie?
I do have a question. This is basically for the rest of the board. Does anybody think that this information merits sharing with the public? Because I know we've had concerned citizens come and talk about this road, so I don't know if it's a good idea to.
So the last time in the Manitowoc one, we posted that on Facebook and shared it in the newsletter, so we intend to do that with this one as well.
Thank you.
Are we ready to move on? Any other comments?
If I can, the only other thing I'd say is when we did this was a pilot study. So we thought that instead of hiring somebody out with the equipment that we had, we could do that in-house, which we were able to do with the sheriff's department. So if there is other roads where we want to study the speeds and you guys get numerous complaints, then let us know and we can, and we can go and do this other places and look at it to see if the speed limits need to be adjusted in other places.
And the same with crash data, it's real simple for you to look up crash data. And I can break it down real specific as far as. What's causing the, crash data, or what's causing the crash.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is the decision whether or not we're going to have fireworks or drone show. If we're going to do it less frequently, or I think there's a lot of different options here.
So, as you've heard, we've received numerous complaints over the years with the debris that falls from fireworks in Darboy Park. So one suggestion that I had for the Kiwanis group was to move the event from that date out of Darboy Park and move it over to Farmers Field, and then do the fireworks over there. And then we would have to deal with, we would have to have issues with debris falling on people's houses. Then the drone show idea came up. There's really no drone shows in the area. There's a vendor out of, I think, Caledonia that has, does these shows. Did one in Rockford. That's the link that's in here. I don't know if anybody watched it. It would be a unique way of doing something different than your typical fireworks. If you do decide to go to the drone show, then we need to move it over to Farmers Field because there is nowhere in Darboy Park that's big enough to launch 250 drones. So, and working with the Kiwanis group, I think that's possible to move the event over there if the board should decide to go that direction.
Julie?
Yeah, I do have a couple comments. First of all, I think a couple of us might have been at the PGI show in Oshkosh. I don't know if anybody else went, but they did a combination fireworks drone show. It was just amazing. So if we just did a drone show, I think that'd be great, especially because the timing of it is you know, people will have had their fireworks by the time it's over. I talked to some people about this and they did have some concerns about Farmers Field. There is a lot of parking there. But the concern was the busyness of the street for anybody who might be walking at night. So I think it's a great idea for us to do something there to kind of expand beyond, you know, into other parts of the village. But I don't know how we would address the concerns of the road, unless we blocked it off for a while or had extra.
Hopefully we
police
can get
presence.
the Harrison squads to assist us with some traffic control out there and make it safe.
Okay, because I'm in favor of a drone show at Farmers Field.
Or do we just mix it? It's 30,000 every year.
That's an option.
We
It's in
just
the
do it every
budget.
other year or something like.
It's in the budget, and so that's why we're bringing it before you.
I think Matt was first, yeah.
So my question would be, I like the idea of a drone show, but I think we're on the field. We're just not quite there yet, like we're working on hopefully getting a pavilion built there this year and that'll come with bathrooms and some other things coming along. If we were able to secure permission from Kimberly School District to use Sunrise property, would that give the drone operator enough room to launch his drone from Sunrise, large fields there from Sunrise?
It might, I could look into that.
Because I think if we could do a drone show and do it at Broadway Park, it would make sense. If not, I just think we're gonna have to take a year off just because of the lack of facilities at Farmers Field.
And
Mike, you had a question?
You were first.
Oh, yeah.
So the history of Darby Park is community park. It's within walking distance for a lot of people. Many of us participated in Chicken Fest, right? And that was great because everybody were able to do their thing there and walk safely to and from that event. And I think that's why I would feel as though I would like to keep that event, whatever event there. My concern with Farmers Field is that there's really no way to walk, and it's kind of outside of the zone where everybody's at. It's what's nice about Darby Community Park because it's really simple and easy to get to and walk to, and people are familiar with it. So I get the whole concern. I feel as though we did it for the 10-year anniversary of Harrison and people enjoyed it. There were so many comments of people that enjoyed it. I get the residents, the 2 or 3 houses there, but I mean, for me, it was a lot of comments about how wonderful it was to have that event at Darwick Community Park. But that being said, I do feel like we don't want to put anybody else's at risk. I feel as though we could probably not do it, probably until the next anniversary mark, which is 15 years, maybe that would be a better time, and maybe by that time the growth will go over to Farmers Field so that then people would be able to safely walk there without having to risk, walking down a 45-mile-an-hour street to get to a fireworks or drone display. So I think maybe we pause until maybe reevaluate this when we turn 15 as a village. It's just my opinion.
There a motion to table this until a future date? So we have more information, like, what was the next term come? Oh,
No, they said most of what I
you're good, Mike, I'm sorry.
like to make a motion,
You can make a motion.
have a drone show. If Sunrise is available.
I'll second that.
So there's a motion and a second to do a drone show this year if Sunrise School is available.
Correct.
Okay,
Scott,
yeah,
question?
yeah.
So. I would say instead of having an actual drone show, can we look at what the pricing is and the logistics behind it? Because I think. My understanding is drone shows are a lot more expensive.
I've been talking to the vendor and we can get a 200 or 250 drone show. That would be about 25 to 28 minutes. And then we would run the music off of the DJ at Kiwanis Park.
Okay, so
I mean, that's-
it's about the same price, it's not a cost.
No, it's the same price. We're staying within the budget that.
I believe that's in the or whatever. If that's the case, then go for it.
So there's a motion and a second Oh, Julie?
I just do have one more comment, and I understand that Farmers Field might not be ready this year for the traffic reasons and the restrooms and all of that, so I understand that, but. The point I want to make is a lot of us in this room, I mean, some of you folks who live out on the fire lanes, we have to drive no matter what. It's not always going to be as convenient as walking to Darboy Park. For a lot of Harrison, it's bigger than just Darboy. So I just want to include that so that there's recognition that a lot of people have to drive no matter where we go.
It's true. Any other questions or comments?
So then everybody has to drive because one group of people.
There's a motion and a second on the table. Is there any other discussion on the motion to approve a drone show this year if Sunrise School is available? Are we ready to go? Are we ready to vote our ballot? Okay, vote your ballot. Let the record show the motion to approve a drone show for 2025 if Sunrise School is available has passed unanimously. Very good.
Madam President,
That's it.
and I have a second motion, just so staff has clear direction in case it's not. Would be. If. We are not able to do the drone show at Sunrise, then we will do nothing this year.
Yeah, that's not on our agenda.
It's,
So we,
I don't know how to put it in here.
Fair
So
enough, I
if
guess
we can
just
do
tell
a
them.
roll.
So
or
I'll,
roll call.
I'll take that and I'll bring it back in February, and then if that's a decision, then you can
Make
make
that-
a motion on that.
make it a future agenda item.
Well, yeah, I guess if you get. Information that doesn't work out, then Chad, you can bring it back on it, so.
Bring it back to future agenda item. Okay. So we're good.
And before our next meeting, I'll learn how to insert a motion not intended.
That's
Sorry.
okay. We don't need to panic tonight. No need to panic tonight. All right. Next up is our contract to approve a contract with the band for the schematic design for Farmers Field concession stand building.
So this seemed like the easiest way to handle this situation. So we've got a couple parties here that are wanting to be part of this. The Darboy Kiwanis, as you know, donated 25,000. The River of Surge Soccer Club and the Kimberly School District Industrial Arts Class. So we've met with the high schoolers in that class multiple times. They will be providing the free labor to build the structure over the course of the 2025-26 school year. So this contract would be for McMahon to work with them to design something that they can build and that we can operate and get what we need. So basically what would happen is the students would be building it, McMahon would be designing it, and then we would be putting a bid package together for the material costs and using the donation from the Kiwanis Club and other funding to cover that. So we believe that we had budgeted 350,000 for a shelter at that location. With free labor, we believe we might be able to get a better quality shelter and maybe even enclose it and make it have hopefully year-round use if we could, or at least extend the season a little bit to maybe get use of it with some closed down doors or something of that sort. And kind of push the season into spring and the fall a little bit more. So that's what we're hoping to accomplish with the partnership between McMahon, the village, and the school district, and ultimately make it a win-win for all of us and a project for the school district industrial arts class for the 2025-26 school year.
Is there a motion to approve? Matt, question?
I have a question. Have we asked McMahon if they'd be willing to donate their services to this?
We have not, okay, but
Because I believe we should, with several employees that live in the village. And it is a community project, and I envision us having thank you bricks or something to everybody that contributes and that kind of a thing. Plus, I think that could spur other businesses or things where that the school district will help individuals that for certain work they're not gonna be able to do right. So then that helps kick off potential campaign for other businesses that would also have a brick of some sort or plaque on the building?
Well, I
So
don't,
what I would say is, we'll go back and talk to them, maybe move this, up to that amount, and then we'll see what we can negotiate out.
out of the goodness of their hearts. So is there?
He's smiling, he wants to do it.
I'll make a motion to approve this then with that.
Who,
Second. Okay, there's a motion, a second to approve up to $6,000 for McMahon to assist with the Farmers Field concession stand. Which ballot? Let the record show the motion to approve is passed unanimously. Very good. Next up, approval of the development agreement between Wisconsin Milk Management and the Village of Harrison. Chad?
So this is for the development on the corner of Pony N and KK. This would be for, providing a pay-as-you-go incentive to the developer to build out a gas station convenience store, the additional tenant space in the car wash. Developers planning to invest roughly 7.3 million in the project. We would give a 10% tax increment incentive pay-as-you-go, provided they meet the minimum investment with no more than 733,000 paid out of its gift. There is some additional shortfall we were able to negotiate in the deal. That if they, if it's reduced and they don't meet that by September 30th, the amount would be recalculated. Pay the tip out after September 30th of each year. The developer needs to make all their tax payments or no incentive will be paid. And then there's a provision that the attorney added related to pilot payments, that if this should become tax exempt in the future, they have to make a payment in lieu of taxes equivalent to the loss of the property tax over the course of the 20 years of the district. And then that the developer should not contest their tax rates during the life of the incentive payments. So staff is recommending approval of this. Andy and I worked on this together and we are both in agreement with the provisions in the agreement. And I think it would allow the project to move forward and probably get a shovel on the ground sometime in March or April, pending frost removal.
I'll make a motion to approve the developer agreement between Wisconsin Milk Management and the Village of Harrison as printed in the.
And Matt had a comment.
The one question was reading through this, I did not see a line for how the increment is split each year, like 80-20, 80% to them, each 20% to administration.
It's the 10%, so it's a 90-10 split.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? There's a motion, a second on the floor to approve. Vote ballot. So let the record show the motion to approve has passed unanimously. Very good. All right. Approval or review of the draft senior housing needs assessment market study request for proposals. Chad.
So trustee Baldwin had brought up at the last meeting about exploring senior housing for the village, and I given that some thought and thought about which way to go and talk to a few developers related to it. And so I think the best kind of step forward would be for the village to go out in an RFP and get some costs on doing a housing needs assessment and a market study. With the idea that we would be able to identify the types of senior housing developments that the market could support, and what kinds and at what price points and those kinds of things that developers would use to put in a proposal, and then we could bring that findings back to the board. And the board could ultimately approve which direction we go before we go out and start working with developers to put together concepts for this type of housing. Where that goes, what that looks like, we'll try to iron that all out as part of this market study. But I think any of the developers that I've spoken with have said, well, what do you want and what's missing? And we don't know that until we dive into the specifics. So we're recommending this. There is 25,000 budgeted in the planning department budget for these types of studies, and I don't know how much this is gonna cost, but. Typically, these things run 20 to 25,000, and hopefully we can get some information that the board can consider the future direction, and it can help if we want to move forward with recruiting some developers.
Julie?
Yes, I think it's a great idea. I think it's similar to what you did with the hotel study where, we thought there might be reason to build a hotel. There wasn't, so I think this is a great idea. With that, I'll make a motion to approve this, up to $25,000 for the study.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second to approve. Mark, you got comments?
I disagree. So I'm not for senior housing in Harrison. It's gonna devalue the other single family homes in the village of Harrison. Based upon priorities, surveys done in the last couple of years. There's not a major need for that at this time. At least I'm not willing to take the house depreciation in my area over doing something like this, so. I'll be voting against this at this time, because I don't think that's what our people in Harrison want. The majority.
Matt?
Thank you. So. I am not in favor of doing this study. Because I don't believe we need to do this study, because I believe it'd be a waste of taxpayers' money to do it. I do believe that we do need to support a form of independent living in Harrison. But the only kind of just looking at feedback here. People do not want more apartment complexes. And if you look at a lot of the senior housing that has been going up. Projects in Appleton, projects in Ashwaubenon, one just got completed in Ashwaubenon, for example. They are very large apartment complexes that are labeled as senior housing. They get some pretty hefty TID incentives as well. These senior housing developers shop themselves around to see which municipality is gonna give them the most money. And that's where they go.
I'm not envisioning these being apartments. I'm envisioning these being the cottages that you asked me about.
Right.
And I talked to that developer who said, well, what is the market? And I don't know what the market is.
Right.
So I envision these being more like single family type units or these cottages or, one or two, maybe three buildings per complex townhomes, those kinds of things.
Yes, no one here has promoted high density apartment complexes. There hasn't been a single high density apartment complex approved.
Point of
in
order.
Village of
You have to-
Harrison. I have a chance to
I wasn't
comment.
finished yet. By the way,
Well,
Chad was trying to answer my question. I was not done on the floor yet, please.
right.
You'll have your chance after I'm on the floor. Thank you. So, yes, I guess where I'm getting at is though, when we talk about in the memo, the different types of housing and different things, that is a very common type was
Correct.
my point. And so what I believe we need to do as a board, and it's probably not agenda size correct, to be able to actually pass a motion to that effect tonight. But I believe we as a board should take a stance. We don't need a study to tell us. In here, one of the things is the study to tell us what different types and we can pick from what we would support. I can tell you as a trustee, the only type of senior housing I am going to support, at least myself and both for, is such as Buchanan cottages or the villas of Apple Creek.
Correct.
And so that we as a village should be able to pass that as our stance of what we would support in and of itself. And then if you need some additional support of how to make that happen, then any studies you do are targeted to only that one type of housing. So you don't have all these different options that'll come back, and try to look at. Plus, and I get incentives. And so I'm sure, I don't know if that's a deal breaker for these developers or not. And if it is, we shouldn't be wasting our time because you have, as a staff here, there's plenty of priorities to work on. And I am not giving 10 incentives for housing. People don't want us to give 10 incentives for housing. They're so upset about the past incentives that have been given up here for housing. We had questions tonight about even incentives on housing if we're giving them or not. So I'm not against senior housing on a single condominium style. But we don't need a study to tell us that, in my opinion.
The main reason this request was brought forward was to follow up on your recommendation for the cottages. When Chad worked with the developers, They asked for a clear delineation of what it is we want, and Chad felt that the best way to achieve those directives for what you recommended several months ago, not high rise, not high density, but the cottage villa type proposal, is to go out and get an RFP, to work with the consultant to delineate exactly what we do want. And I don't think anyone here on this board has ever wanted a high density development. That we have not voted on a high density development since I've been village president. And none of us are looking to do that, but we are looking to find affordable senior housing, such as the cottages that you recommended, trustee Lancaster, several months ago. So, any other questions or comments? Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just gonna say the request for proposal document doesn't say that though. So I'm just going off of what's attached here. The document here is talking about studying analysis, market demand, senior housing stock inventory, gaps, trends.
Well, we can set parameters on what kinds of.
Well, and talks about for sale, adult, active, independent living, assisted living, memory care facilities, all that kind of stuff is represented here. And so if we're going to spend taxpayer money, we need to, I just feel, and that's fine, we need to, at least if I'm voting for it, it needs to target only, we're studying only this kind of development, and we're not studying all these other pieces, because as a board, then we're not interested in those kind of pieces.
So are you looking to table this and let staff rewrite the?
There's a motion and a second on the.
There's already a motion.
Second.
Well, I'm just trying to, I'm just asking to comment. I know there's a motion and a second,
You can still move to table it, motion is second and a vote.
even though there's already a motion and a second. So we can move to table this and send it back to staff to rewrite the RFP requirements. Yes, no?
I'm not willing to change my motion. I'm in favor of senior housing. I'm in favor of this study.
Let's vote, vote our ballot, if no one else has any other, I don't know if there's any more comments or not, we can vote.
First, we have to vote to table, right?
No, she said she's not in favor of.
But
You know, we would have to move to table and you need a second,
So you
and you'd vote on table, or you can call the question.
I'm gonna call the question.
What does that mean?
what does it mean you vote to ballot that?
Vote to ballot? Just to go, Councilman Dodd, your vote, are you abstaining?
Right.
Okay. Okay, let's just turn bigger. I should, okay,
But,
thank you.
okay, let the record show the motion to approve has failed. With 4 nays and 3 ayes. Right, so that's a dead issue. Okay, we're moving on to Class B. Beer and Class C wine license application for Fox Valley Food Supply LLC.
Any questions?
Any questions or?
Pretty much explains what she wants to do.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
You will sit in the.
We'll sit and thank for the ballot.
She's here.
The record show the motion to approve is passed unanimously. And then. Chad, there's no action to be taken. There is action to be taken. Resolution V 2025-04 requesting USPS review for zip code assignment and inclusion in federal legislation. Chad.
So on Friday afternoon, I was able to have a conversation with the Congressman Leeds staffer that's in Washington DC about There was some legislation that came out at the federal level under the 119th Congress, which was last Congress. And it designated, it basically directed the US Post Office to work with 31 communities that were on this list to get designated zip codes for those specific areas. So after multiple phone calls and trying to understand how do you get your name on that list, I got in touch with the senator, with the congressman who said that he believes that if the board passes a resolution in support of the zip code designation, that that would be the information they would need to give to the authors of the federal legislation to have Harrison added to the legislation that they believe is coming out in the coming weeks. So this is why we amended the agenda to get this on and get this, at least try to get on the list. It's no guarantees that we're gonna get it, but if we're on a federal list, I would say we have a little bit more pull than trying to work with the post office, who has pretty much dead ended everything that we tried to do with them. So I think this is, you know, another straw at the hat of trying to get this done, but no guarantees, but it's worth a try to submit a resolution to the congressman to see if we can get on this federal legislation list.
I'll make that motion to approve. Second.
Motion is second on the floor to approve. Ballot.
And I just have one point to make is that, when I was on the Calumet County Highway Committee, we met with the state DOT and they said that because we don't have our own zip code, we are missing out on federal grants for this village. So this is key for us as we try to upgrade our infrastructure to have that zip code designation in order for us to at least have a chance of getting federal funding to upgrade our infrastructure. So thank you.
Let the record show the motion to approve as passed unanimously. And future agenda items, sir, are there any future agenda? Matt?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes. And this can be April, May timeframe. I just would ask that you come back or be discussed, I guess, before. I guess I can finish right yet before summer comes, but I believe we need to review our overnight parking situation. I did look at the reason why I'm asking this to be a future agenda item, and I looked at the ordinance, and the ordinance is actually dated back from February 10th of 2005. I have it right here, so it's 20 years old. And I understand sometimes people can call the sheriff's department, for example, and they'll let them. It's okay, which I'm saying that's not okay to do, but it's not codified. It's not. There's no process. There's no nothing, and so we need to really figure out how often should someone be allowed to park, what types of vehicles, is there different things like that? What's the procedure? All that kind of stuff.
Like when someone gets their apron resurfaced or sealed, can't park in your driveway. You gotta park in the street. I mean, we gotta have some sort of, I guess, way to have a procedure that would allow for certain circumstances that are out of the homeowner's control, that they have to park on the street. What does that mean? What does it look like? What's the procedure to have that waived for one instance or whatever instance? So does that make sense?
Yeah, we fielded some calls about this, and I know Trustee Lancaster did as well. Before I spent a lot of time digging into what other communities are doing, I just want to make sure that the board is on board with us looking at it. I think there's a couple issues here. One of the issues is the one-time parking. The other issue is we don't allow parking on the roads all year. So should that be a certain time frame for snow plowing, and then we allow people to park or not, or, you know, so I think we need to look at all those different aspects of what that is and bring some recommendations back to the board to consider how to handle this.
And maybe I'm just gonna speak for the rest of us, but I don't think right now is the time, but just something to plan and bring forth, like as the weather gets improved.
Yeah, I guess
Not like an immediate.
right. No, I definitely don't. Yeah, Chad, that's why I meant April, May, whatever. I don't feel you have to do this tomorrow, but I guess. I don't want to, if anybody else has an opinion, but I guess from a future agenda standpoint here, I'm really only looking for spring, summer, fall. I think winter does not. I mean, it just gets to be too much of in my opinion, of cars in the way of public works and how you just gets. You know, you don't have, people aren't having graduation parties and different things and stuff, you know, wintertime, and when things were. Well,
Russ can make that the first priority.
well, there you go.
So Vicky, did you need a second?
First delegation.
If you needed a second person
I
on,
also.
Thank you.
all right. So are we ready to close the open session and take a short celebratory recess before we go into our closed session? Celebratory.
make the motion to short recess.
Also.
All right. Orange ballot.
I think.
Aye.
You don't, it's documented as roll, everything is roll.
So we have to all vote.
Everything. When you're voting on your form, it is taking individual record on every vote. I'm just gonna mark you all in.
Assistant teams like that. Yeah. And you're working away. Start out. One thing. Yeah. Part to county and system to remove the question. So.
The farmer department, volume. Maybe with each.
Joe?
They said he didn't.
Right.
Use the summer bodies. So, here you stand, one. Good job, Vicky.
It just, there's nowhere on here, like I can add an agenda item, but there's no motion, like our new system, it was just a button over here, you could close and say second vote. Sometimes the minutes would put the first ahead of the second or the second ahead of the first, you know, they weren't in order. But I could play with it later. There was just a little button where I could.
Yes.
I gotta have it. I just gotta find it. Yeah, that's why I'm like, that's emotion, but it's gonna be handwritten and I'm gonna tailor.
Come down and I'm trying to get one. Sure. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
What do you want? Stay closer.
It's on the right. Yeah, no, I think it's easy. We can go water to this. Already. Make sure everybody got on it.
So actually, I was thinking also. Now in Darby.
First minute, can grab one on the way out.
So something.
What's that public priority?
But with some.
All right. All.
Sherman found one here, structures. Well. Simple little short, something you have in power.
Anything so, I'm about to figure that out. It was where, yes.
Yeah.
I'm so, yeah.
You think?
Little senior. I'm ready to meet. Yeah, doesn't it work? This is the first step in going to be going.
Yeah. So it's 2 months. And we're going to go to a lot of good. I want to see her. That's what a transited on. Personally, yeah, we're seeing that direction.
You know.
I'll let you get that. You'll pick us and then.
I don't wanna make your life miserable.
Really gotta go to.
No,